agenda? Any additions, corrections, or deletions?
There are some mistakes in the motions.
Okay, so do you want to pull the minutes down out of there and put them under new business, number 1?
Is that how we should do it?
Yeah.
To fix them?
Mm-hmm. So, let's see. So do I have a motion for the amended consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda as amended.
Do I support?
I have a question, and I don't know if this is, I'm looking under the revenue, if this is placed, revenue and expense report, and they're showing our revenue from July 20 to June 21, so that should be until December 20. Because I haven't cut the second check yet in 8/18.
Oh, okay.
If you take a look at that, I think there was just a mistake. They just should have put it in revenue June 20 to December 20 instead of to June 21.
Where are you? Okay, where are you looking?
I'm looking under the North Oakland County Fire Authority revenue and expense report. I'm looking at revenues $4,050.
Jeremy, do you have those in front of you?
I don't know which.
I think it was just a typo.
Typo?
Are you reading the actual revenue and expense report?
Well, that's why I was looking here. It says accrual basis, and it says 8/18.
Right.
8/18 budget 8/18. It should be just half of that.
Well, once you generate the invoice on an accrual system, it counts it as the revenue.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it shows 80.
Okay, so you're mad because you already put
The
it.
invoices
You're
were
counting
counted last week.
All right. Oh, well, that explains that. That's true. That's what QuickBooks does. All right, when I do mine, I always date them. I do them a little bit differently so that doesn't happen. All right. Because I use QuickBooks too. All right.
Okay.
At least that's knowledge that it's explained.
Okay.
All right, so I'll support it.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah. Well, Peter started. So it's moved by George, supported by Peter. May I have roll call, please?
Oh, I have a question.
Oh, okay.
How do the motion was to support as amended, but I don't know the amendment.
We pulled the minutes out of the consent agenda and moved them to new business because Peter has some changes.
Okay, so we're supporting without the minutes.
Right. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay. Roll. Okay, good.
Yes.
Crawford?
Yes.
Slater? Yes. Erica?
Yes.
Winchester?
Yes. Next, we have presentations. Ken Polka from Pfeffer, Hannaford, and Polka, CPAs, to present the fiscal year 2020 audit. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Our annual get together here.
Yes.
As always, I just want to let the board know we appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve as your auditors here at the authority. It was another good year, another good audit. We didn't find anything where we felt we had to add any additional comments. Everything looked very good. Chief does an outstanding job keeping track of things. Your bookkeeper, Pam, is doing a great job keeping the books together here. Your fund balance did come down a little bit this year with the capital purchases that you guys had. I bought a new pumper, I believe, an exhaust system for the other station, and a couple other things that total almost $400,000. If you would open up your, what I call your coloring books or your drafts, just to get a little bit of a perspective of the financial year that the authority did have. You can see the first graph is a pie chart of the revenues for the authority. And your biggest revenue, of course, are the township contributions. And Then your charges for services for your medical. You received over $187,000 in grants this year. And then your interest and other miscellaneous revenues totaled almost $8,500. Next page is a comparison of your revenues over the years. So you can kind of get an idea. This goes back to 2007. You can see your township contributions did come up this year compared to the prior years. And your grants hung in there, and charges for services were about the same. The next graph is a picture of your expenditures. And as in most fire and medical authorities, your personnel, of course, is your biggest cost. And there's the equipment purchases that you made this year, that I just referred to, just over $400,000, and then all of your other operating costs. So you can see your expenditures did exceed your revenues for this year, about $255,000 or so. And the fourth page is your comparison of fund balance. As I alluded to, your fund balance did come down this year. So we're just under $200,000 in your total fund balances. Now, it's kind of tough to get a good grasp as far as the true financial picture of the authority because a lot of the funds are sitting at the township level right now in your fire funds. And then as the chief needs them, as you approve your budgets, you bring those monies over into the authority. So I'm sure everybody understands that. So that kind of a quick synopsis on things. I'm here today to answer any questions or comments or any discussion that the board would like to have.
Well, first of all, thank you for your report. I think it's important to note that the township contributions went up this year because of the loss of that one grant program. Am I correct?
Safer grant. Safer. This was last year's audit, so the Safer grant was still active.
Oh, okay.
I think the Safer grant was coming to an end in the last fiscal year there. Chief, one more payment or so that you have this year?
We ran for 3 more months. We ran until this past October with the Safer grant.
Yes, sir, Paul.
I assume that you do several other fire authorities and things, and you're familiar with other people. How do we compare in terms of capital equipment fund and then fund balance in terms of other neighboring fire districts? The ones that, for our size, I mean, for your size, you're right in the path there. Say about in the middle. Okay, so you don't see any big deficiencies in that. I mean, we're committed to increasing the capital fund. And we've had some discussions. So as long as we do it continuously and we don't neglect it, you don't see any big issues there.
No. The state sometimes has had an issue with you guys where they've written letters saying, hey, your fund balance is kind of low here, what are you doing about it? But they don't understand that the townships have the money also. And so we just explain that to them, and they're usually happy with that explanation.
So what, if the state's interjecting, what kind of a fund balance do they look for? Is there a percentage?
Yeah, they like to see at least half of your operating expenditures, close to half. It's kind of a guideline that we've heard. And that would exclude major purchases of equipment. It wouldn't include like your regular operating expenditures.
Right, just money sitting aside for nothing else but fund balance.
Right.
I'm not sure if this is a question or just want to make sure I'm understanding this. It looks like the contributions from the townships last year were $1.4 million, basically. Prior year, 2019, was just over $1 million. Doesn't look like $1.1 million. And before that, always below $1 million. So literally, the townships have increased by 30% or so the amount of contributions. Going into this year, our budget calls for $1.6 million or something like that, even more.
Okay.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Yes, that is correct. He hasn't seen the numbers for this current year, so.
Right, and that was for the wage increases and the SAFER grant.
This year's.
Yes.
This 1.4 isn't for safer grant, and that was before the wage increase. Right. Correct.
Oh, and us putting Rose Township full-time, or
So it's adding staff.
adding staff down at their station.
Yeah, that happened the year prior.
Oh, okay.
This was an attempt, like Paul was talking about, trying to get the capital fund up.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been able to put that much in it over the last 7 out of 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
How does the capital look for going forward, Chief Reed? Do you have any?
Right now, we're budgeting at least 100,000 a year.
Okay. So you'd be below the 400,000 you spent this year then?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's really your difference right there. So that extra will help increase your fund balance. Back up there. But the one thing that you guys did do, I thought was a very smart idea, was having, I think it was Holly Township, that loaned the money to the authority instead of going out and bonding for the pumpers. Thank you.
Yes.
Like to hear what a good.
Anybody else?
Were there any areas you observed that need additional scrutiny?
Well, the one area that every year that needs additional scrutiny is just because of how much money are we going to get from the insurance companies, knowing really how to guesstimate what our allowance is going to be there. And just looking back at history, that's always a tough one to read.
This is the bad collections or the collections.
Are you doing a better job about writing it out? Because is that receivable? Is that a fairly accurate itemable based on your estimation? I don't expect it to be perfect, but
Yeah, we're basing it on history.
okay.
I know Chief knows it inside.
How are we in relationship to other departments?
You're right in the ballpark.
Are there any kind of, do you have any kind of, it was just any kind of formal management letter where you make recommendations? Are there anything you have, or is it?
Yeah, we have the usual on that. We have your called a education letter that we have with your stuff, and it just brings out the one material weakness that we talk about every year.
All right. I was just wanting to think.
No, nothing else added to it. And that weakness is just because it's kind of our CYA letter to state, hey, you guys are such a small authority that not really, it's tough for you to understand. Involved in.
Okay, we all set?
Because they're pretty quiet today. They're
Yeah.
okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. If the court wouldn't mind if you could just make a motion to receive the report, and then we'll get down to the state.
Okay.
The next item.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Yep. Thank you.
I would make a motion to receive the report.
Second that.
Okay. Motion by George, supported by Peter. May I have roll call, please?
Collis,
Yes.
Stopper, Winchester,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Snyder. Yes. Motion carried.
Okay. Next,
Merry Christmas.
you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Next under new business is the approval of the minutes from October 20th, 2020. Peter?
So under the motions that we have, third motion, the second motion is the moved by Dr. Sexton, which is motion carried. And then now look at the vote. It says voting yes 2, voting no 3. I think that should have been motion did not carry.
Yeah, yes, that's very true. Yep.
I get so used to doing motion carry.
Yeah, this is an important one for the discussion. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the third and fourth one, I don't see what the difference is between two of them. Are they the same thing? Or is it duplicate?
Oh, there was.
Two of one.
The last two motions below. Basically about the number of hours not being a current or former employee, and then the fourth one says the number of hours shall not be a current or former employee. And I don't know if that's just a duplicate, or if there was something else that went on there that wasn't captured.
One's supposed to be the citizen at large, and the other one a board member, elected official.
Then the votes aren't correct if that's what it was.
The first one to address the elected official. So that would be
Yeah, the first motion is that. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
the first two motions.
Yeah, it looks like almost just a copy.
It's not quite identical.
But we did have the 4 motions though. Well, the one is to refer it to the attorney to change the articles of incorporation. So you're restating what we were sending.
All the fourth was just the thank you.
Yes.
I didn't see the word attorney.
That's what it was.
So those are correct. So
Yeah.
it's only the second one that it should say that.
Yes.
Well, very confusing.
I'll try to make it separate going forward.
Okay, so do we have motion to,
Motion to approve minutes as amended.
do I have support?
Support.
Okay. Motion by George, seconded by Peter. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Next, we have mid-year fiscal year 2021 budget amendments.
In your packet for my budget revisions for mid-year. We can go through some of the ones I want to mention, unless you have questions first about anything.
If you just want to,
Under everything that's been revised here, the entire budget as a whole doesn't change the amount. Just revisions on the cost centers based on the trends that we're at. Down in the revenues column, number 412, it says add to the left there. I don't know why it wasn't in our original budget. I think it was enacted in QuickBooks.
oh,
And we didn't have any budgeted amount for it at the beginning of the year. We didn't have it on there.
okay,
But now that we do have some budgeted, I have to calculate that. So that's not a new category, right? It's just something that
was not in the budget.
not in the
Right.
Expenditures, want to move 706, which is according to secretary wages, just out of the personnel match, if you will, and into contracted services, where it actually should go, which is something that we never did.
Right.
What's the number?
816.
816.
And then at the bottom of the personnel categories, the life and disability for Pinocchio employees, we're going to get rid of that, and that's going to get moved into the liability insurance category, 650. The insurance company that we use for both liability and our, like disability insurance for paid on call. Rolls that all into one now under our liability policy.
Oh, okay.
So there's no need to keep it
Keep it
separate
separate.
anymore. So that's all that was.
Okay.
So will that, by rolling that in there, will that change the number from, will that add the 5810 to the 24,000?
It goes to 27.8.
Right.
So there's a savings.
There was, in our overall general liability insurance policy this year, there was a savings.
So, but my point is, by moving it, we're not just adding this number to that.
No, whatever that number is at 650 is, and it includes.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's savings of almost.
Per grand.
Yeah, that's good.
Page 200 supplies. We've always had these 720 and 722 categories. Really, there's nothing that differentiates non-supplies and operating supplies, so I'd like to just keep it one category, operating supplies.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Anybody has an issue with that? Safer grant expenditures were all updated, obviously, because that's over now in October, so we were able to know what we utilized in those expenditure categories, so all those are up to date for the rest of the year. Under contracted services, I'd like to add the cost center, non-employee instructor wages. Now that we're doing a lot of classes, we get a lot of people from other departments that aren't our employees that are doing instructors. So I like to separate category that, so we know how much is going out for that.
Jeremy,
Yes.
travel expenses, safer grant, what is that?
Under the safer grant, when Tim wrote it, we could reimburse the people that were going to the fire academy their travel time back and forth to from home to school or so.
And then the new employee wages that you just mentioned, is that new, the $3,000, is that new, or did that come out of another?
No, that came out of our regular instructor wages under our personnel costs.
Okay.
So again, there's no overall change in the sum amount. I just pulled out
Oh, that you could have
what we tend to pay. It got pulled out of 705, yes.
and went out back there, went up by 3 here.
Well, that's because I also took training supplies and equipment, which is down in the operating expenses. We were using that for like books for instructors and stuff like that.
That's just reallocated.
It's just exactly, everything's just reallocated. Speaking of which, just said, new cost center 55 for training supplies and equipment, for the keep track of expenditures for classroom stuff. That's it for any new additions or deletions. The rest are just revised numbers for this budget year.
What is 851 information technology expenses went up by 5,000?
Yeah, that's all of our computer stuff, and we had to purchase through the COVID computer and IT stuff for the guys to do training at home. We got requested for grant reimbursement on a lot of that stuff.
Equipment, maintenance level?
Again, that was another category where we had equipment maintenance. That is 62. Yeah, we had our, that includes our hose testing, which went up this year. We're expecting that was $4,500 for the hose test. Any kind of, we have to have our SCBA's all tested this year. Our warranty expired with our got those SCBA's, we have a extended warranty with them, that they would do that
Okay.
part of the service in that way, so that was several $1,000s to do that, so that's why that went
How often do you do the CBAs and the whole stuff have to be annually?
And then again, 970, you see a big increase in that, capital purchases under 5,000. Again, we had $10,000 for the HVAC disinfection units that we put in. We had the ambulance, the used ambulance that we purchased. Some other stuff that had to do with COVID again. We're hoping that a lot of it gets reimbursement that the grant we have now for reimbursement on the COVID supplies.
Have we received any checks from CARES and so
Oh, you mean the, yeah, Holly Township, the one I submitted for you guys, you got both.
Oh, okay. Because I was in touch.
We did too.
Because they never approved, I just didn't know if we could receive.
Yes, you got, yeah.
We haven't got ours yet.
You haven't got yours yet? Hopefully you'll hear something soon, because we
Yeah.
just started hearing this week for Holly County.
When did you get yours?
Just this week.
Oh, okay. So maybe. I got a call and asked some questions about it, and like, we haven't received the check yet.
So the $25,000 over on the top that was loaned by each township, you guys are set. You got
Yep.
money, which included $25,000 reimbursement, and I sent you, Diane, the paperwork to include that source, correct?
Yep. Okay. That was submitted.
That's, really all the changes on budget revision.
I move to accept the budget conditions.
Do I have support?
Second.
Okay, moved by George, seconded by Peter. May I have roll call, please?
Paul,
Yes.
Southwood,
Yes.
Chestnut,
Yes.
Winchester.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, next we have review of NOCFA policy specific to Board of Directors involvement. Jeremy?
Mr. Southward last month had suggested that we just kind of review any of our internal operating policies. Any ones that relate to board involvement, if you will, if they skew to that level, that the board needs to get involved. So, according to your packet, there were three of our policies. All have to do with appeals process, disciplinary type stuff. So
That's this stuff.
yes. So I don't know if Mr. Shelby wants to extend further on, but
Well, no, the stems from an incident that happened a month or so ago. And, I certainly hadn't been trained as to what the board response should be when one of these incidents happen. I think the board is fully aware and trained probably on a yearly basis to make sure we're following the policies of the department. So you already sent me those a month or so ago, and it was fantastic reading, and I read through
it was fantastic reading.
That's a first.
So in a nutshell, these three policies that I've attached all have to do with corrective actions or appeals process. We do have some type of disciplinary action or termination to an employee. They, of course, have the right to grieve it. There's steps that are followed, timelines that have to be maintained. And ultimately, once going through this process, if it comes back and it doesn't get resolved, the ultimate thing can be then brought to the board's attention, either an arbitration committee or an appeal process where they come before the board and basically like a small courtroom, state their case, and the board has discretion to make a final decision on things like that. Again, these are policies that I do that once
a question for you.
Yes.
You said there are three. I'm looking at three. But on the bottom, I have page 5-1.
Yep.
17.
Well,
And 5.
the pages, if you look at the table of contents,
Right, there's other things in between.
no, there's sections or categories, and then the categories are broke out from 1 to whatever in that category. And then the second category starts, and those are broken out from 1. So it just so happens that those two, the 20-09. Oh, sorry. You should have.
But the words are identical.
No, you are right. There was 2 copies of the first page
Yes.
of 2001.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. So it's the 2 policies.
I just wanted to
Together. You're right. Somehow the copy got put in there the first page. So.
Okay. I didn't see any difference.
When was this policy adopted?
Which one?
Are they all different? They're all, I mean,
Well, some of them.
Yeah, they're on the top.
Looked at, I guess, by, your,
If you look at the top,
In 2015, we did a whole rescale of all the policies.
okay.
That was approved then, and then since then, I think the last revision was probably over 2 years ago.
is 17.
The one says July 18th of 17.
Yeah, so occasionally if there's something that needs to be updated, we do, and then we bring those up at the meeting and say, okay, it's been a while since we've done one. But they do get looked at,
So sometimes they do it by section.
correct. There's
Yeah,
4
if
sections of
something needs to be
policy.
updated, yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy.
All right, are we all set on that?
So these,
Oh,
as a matter of policy, go through board approval at some point too. These did 2017 or 2015.
Correct, yep.
So the main takeaway for me as a board member is if I get approached by an employee, I say I have no comments and tell them to go follow the policy. That's in a nutshell, correct? The proper response. And not have a conversation with them in any way, shape, or form about the events.
Yes, one of the
Yep.
things in the initial interview process, if we hire somebody, their box gets checked off is they get a copy of this. So they're totally aware of, all those internal policies.
Paul, you have something?
Well, in keeping with this, I did receive a letter from a former employee, Janet McKee, and she made a lot of allegations in this letter. And I read it over a couple of times, and my not knowing what my responsibility was as a board member, I called the Rose Township attorney, John Mulvihill, and talked with him about it at length. In a nutshell, being a true attorney, where they really don't answer questions. He said, talk that if there's anything that there's any substance, and it seemed like it was something of a whistleblower's, allegation, that we should talk to the attorney for the NOHLC, that we should have a meeting and talk about it. So, and I just, I'm an accountant, I have a lot of business experience, but when it comes to employees, not so much. So I just bring this to your attention that this was given to me, and I don't know what to do about it. Maybe you should talk to have a full session next January, talk with the attorney, or if there's anything of it, because I certainly don't think of the board's positions to get into day-to-day run of the township. I mean, I don't view that as part of our job, but yet here's something that if there was a lawsuit or something, certainly I took it that way from reading this letter.
But
Oh, no, it's
that there was no prior contact internally before you received that letter, and that's exactly why
Well, that's why I brought it up.
Right.
at this point.
I'm
Well,
curious.
that's the event that caused me to bring this up and answer this.
Yes, well, that's fine.
This is the specific, we shouldn't be having those conversations.
Well, I didn't have any conversation. I wouldn't talk with her. There was just a letter written and it was put in my inbox. And I read it and I just bring it to your attention. And not knowing, if I would know the attorney, I would call your attorney, but I called our attorney just to see what his position is. And his position is to talk to the attorney for NOHLC.
But that's not the process.
No, it's not, the process is laid out, so it did not belong to the board.
So you're saying, well, she didn't follow it, so there's nothing going on.
Correct.
Okay.
I do have one question.
Keep saying how long it's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Not involved with it. Not gonna lie.
I guess I'm curious, was there a specific reason why the letter went to you individually as opposed to every member of the board?
I have no idea. You were saying, but I assumed everybody got it.
It went to me as well.
Karen got a copy, I got a copy.
Right, and I returned mine. I didn't even read it.
Well, I just bring it to the board's attention that this is what happened because I wasn't aware of anything until I read this letter. There were a lot of allegations in it, but I don't think that, so. And I ran it by our attorney. He says, if there's a problem, run it by the NOCFA attorney.
Well, and that's what you would do, Jeremy, if you had an issue internally. That's what the chief would do in that instance. But she would have to go through the process with him. And then it would come to the board.
All right, I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention because this hasn't happened to me before, and we've had other people leave, which we're not happy about the situation. I've never had anybody send me a personal complaint.
Right.
Can I ask one last question? Did you use the term whistleblower? Did she ask for whistleblower immunity in that letter?
I don't think so. Maybe she did. I don't remember because, but then certainly there were some implied threats in there in the letter.
But our response has to be, use the processes in place.
Mm-hmm.
There's a process whereby you can get all the way to the board here if you go through the process.
Correct.
Going directly to us board members is not going to work.
Well, I certainly didn't talk to her at all, and I wouldn't have talked to her under any circumstances for those reasons.
Okay. Anything else?
Jeremy, do you mind sending us the whole policy? The entire policy, or make us, yeah, that would be nice. That's all right. He enjoys it, right? Is that what he's doing?
That's because he's an engineer. All right, so,
Copy of it, please.
Thank you. Oh, you're charging.
so I'd say,
Sorry for.
okay, so moving on, there's no action for that. Do we all set the consensus, no action? Okay, so next we have the attorney review of updated articles of incorporation and board approval to send them to the township boards. Excuse me.
So after the last board meeting, we finalized the articles, attorney, there's not an email in there. Do them, respond back.
So I'm sure I'm missing all the stuff about employee or board members and all that stuff. I can't find it. In the one that you sent, that you got back from the employee, from the attorney. The top of page 3. The one that you sent out, I don't know if you paper copy of the one you sent out last week, the agenda doesn't have the verbiage. There are motions.
What are you
it's in there.
I saw that.
It's in there.
Yeah.
Member of the board shall not be an employee of an emergency service entity. It actually says it in a couple different spots. I thought that.
Yep, it did.
Spot on page 2 says it, and
It's two under governing board. The first, you see the first comment.
page 12.
Two. Yeah, two.
Give me an article number. Where are you seeing?
Article
Article
8.
Article 8, third paragraph.
Third paragraph. Do you have the right,
It's a,
copy of my comments over on the comment section over on
There are comments over on the right.
yep, because it says the fifth member, citizen at large, shall not be a current or former employee of the authority.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yep, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Any other feedback other than looks good?
I have one. Yeah, that's just one. The board shall meet no less than once a quarter. So are we still gonna post, have monthly meetings, but we have the option of postponing due to no business?
That was the consensus, yeah, that we're still gonna continue monthly meetings. It's
Okay.
just the way that was written before, it said we had to have
We must.
time.
Okay,
Right.
alright, good, because I would like to continue to have monthly meetings, so, unless we don't have business.
Yeah, it's like the same with the planning commission. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, George?
So we sent this to the attorney comes back, no any changes.
He didn't know of any changes, he just looked at all of our changes to make sure they were in, I guess, the legal bounds of whatever, and said that they were fine. He didn't make any changes.
Okay.
Do we need to entertain a motion to send this to our boards for approval?
I don't know if we're done talking about it, or we can do motions and then.
Do a motion to send.
I guess so the motion was made by, I was looking at the minutes by Stauffer and sent this to the attorney. The purpose of sending it to the attorney then was why? Well, why did we send it to the attorney?
To make sure that legally we weren't doing anything out of bounds, and that the verbiage was such that it had proper legal implications.
This professional review and opinion.
The overview.
Okay, then I guess I have to raise the question, if we value the attorney's opinion, why did we not value it when he gave his opinion that we should have, for the benefit of our board, the portion that we voted down on two separate votes about having a former employee that has been discharged, a member of this board? I guess I'm confused on that.
Well,
Because he didn't get an opinion that that was the right thing to do. He gave an opinion that would be legally okay. It's our duty as a board to accept or reject his findings. If we just do what the lawyers say every single time, then you don't need a board. We're elected by the people to make those decisions.
don't you have your attorney review things,
And when they make,
contracts and
well,
policies
yeah,
and
but
things?
when they make recommendations, we usually follow them.
Right, but then we're not talking about something we already voted on. We're talking about this.
We can talk about it. This is
We
part.
voted all as a board to send it to the attorney, and we did that.
Okay. Well, I still have some issues with it that I think we need to address, and I'm not comfortable forwarding it on to the attorney with not addressing the elephant in the room. Is really it's a recommendation by our attorney that should happen, and if it's a matter of Diane not being able to serve, it still should be in here moving forward, and she could be grandfathered in by the motion when we approve it.
I guess the bigger concern I have is we have a discharged employee that decided to go to certain board members, which was against the policies and procedures which we just went over. But having those people, I mean, I would imagine a department over the years has several people that have been discharged for very different reasons. And in many cases, most of them, I would imagine, didn't agree with why they were discharged. My concern is, in a community of the size of ours, those people can circumvent, come around, and end up on the board. And I don't know that that serves this board in the best manner.
Is there a motion on the table?
No.
What are we discussing?
No, that's something we've already voted on. Let's stick to the agenda item.
It's part of the agenda item.
Then make a motion so we can have a discussion.
Okay, if that's the way you want, do I have?
We agreed to follow Robert's Rules of Order, the discussion.
Well, we haven't in the past, so we didn't all the way through this meeting until now, so that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
We give rules.
Okay?
Okay.
So,
Are you making a motion?
I have nothing to motion on.
Oh.
I don't understand.
So no action's taken. We've gone through all this work and we're not going to take any action on it.
Unless you have a different agenda that you want to address, if you'd like to make a motion, I would suggest now would be the time to do it. See if there's support, and then we can have discussion.
I didn't have a different agenda. I was asking a question regarding the policies and procedures.
I tried to make a motion to send it to the township board for approval.
All right, I'll
I was
support it.
told that we could go ahead discussion.
Well, while we can discuss that.
Okay, so,
Motion to send to the township boards for approval.
and do I support?
You have the support.
Yeah, I'll support it.
All right, so motion by Diane and supported by Paul. Any discussion? George, you want to finish?
No, I'm good.
Well, I'm not good. So one, I think one of the main things is why I'm not good with this is because of the situation with the fact that the board didn't take the item and the recommendation from the attorney, and I think it's something that really needs to be in the policy so that there isn't future conflicts. I'm not pointing at Diane. If you guys want to make the motion to do that,
I
that
don't understand
exempts.
why you would allow me on and let me be grandfathered in, but not accept somebody else who could be anybody.
Well, I prefer that.
Anybody in this room.
Well,
But, runs for office and decides to be on the fire board.
I don't think I think it's a conflict of interest, and I believe it's a conflict of interest with you. But however, that's apparently why nobody wants to address this situation.
Can you explain to me what I've done on this board that would make you think it was a conflict? Is there something that I voted for that you don't find acceptable? Or you don't think I came in here after taking my oath that I would serve on this board and do what I took an oath to do?
I didn't say that,
And be
Diane.
genuine in how I vote and to support this authority?
I think the problem is you're making it a check on you, and it's not.
Then why would you grandfather me in? I don't understand that.
We asked if that was the
The
issue.
problem, I assumed that was the issue.
Grandfather me in, but you can't be on. You can't be on. None of you can be on in the future if you serve.
Yes, I think that's appropriate, and there's
So
many
you can
reasons
have
why.
elected officials that are serve on the board or married to people who serve on the board who can vote for the budget and things like that, vote for the pay raises and things like that. And I checked with our attorney. That's not a problem.
I think it
I mean, the
is.
people in your community are the people that serve your community.
Mm-hmm.
With
And when they're elected,
planning,
we're appointed.
planning commissioners, you have 7 people on that board. They might have that dog kennel next door to them, and they have to decide, can they really do their job by be fair and
They're supposed supposed to recuse themselves.
They don't have to though.
No, but they should.
But they don't have to.
Okay.
If they feel that they're voting fairly, they don't have to. If they feel there's an issue with how they vote, they're supposed to let you know that and recuse yourself.
Okay. Well, that is one of my issues, and then I do think that we need to specify the term of the citizen at large in these, and because of the conflict that we have had over this situation, I really believe that we need to have a conflict resolution policy in these articles as well when we get to a point of what seems to be like a divided board since we've had the new Rose Township citizen at large. We've had some very divided that we haven't had in years, looking back through 2004.
I don't know when I bring things to my board. I do my best to present it to my board, and I do my best to lay it out on my table. Sometimes I don't even get a second on my motion. That's how boards work.
I know how a board
and then it
works.
fails. So, again, you feel there's a conflict. I mean, you feel Pete's voted unfairly.
I didn't say he voted unfairly.
But
There have been some issues with the votes.
did your motion not pass when it happened?
My motion.
So what you're saying is you don't like it because sometimes what you want fails. So you think that's a problem?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
So you know how me to answer?
Yeah.
Okay. I think what the problem is the disrespect. Look, let's take this back. You referred to the elephant in the room.
No, she did.
I did.
Okay, somebody brought up the elephant in the room. And you have to excuse my voice. Is it Dave Curtis? Dave Curtis. When Dave Curtis resigned, you were very concerned that you had a Rose Township representative because Dave Curtis had been on the board from Holly Township, and you felt that was fair. And I didn't disagree with that. I had raised the question about how long Dave had been on the board. The answer there was somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 or 5 years. They weren't sure. And I felt it made sense to do the switch. You remember that?
And the switch?
From a Holly Township member at large to a Rose Township.
Did you vote for Pete to be on the board?
Pardon?
Did you vote for Pete to be on the board? Okay,
I wasn't.
you felt it was fair. Okay.
I said I felt it was fair. I wasn't at that meeting.
Okay.
But I felt it was fair. That was the one where my wife went to the hospital. So that's why I wasn't at that meeting. So with backing up, upon further, from that point on, in that interview, Pete was asked if he had a problem with the 3 o'clock meeting. He said he didn't have a problem. The very next meeting, you came in and you changed our meeting times from 3 o'clock to an evening time because your residents had called for that, according to you, and he had said that the 3 o'clock meeting was a problem. So that vote, totally disrespectful of the board, and in my opinion, I'm allowed to have my opinion. Sorry that you don't like it, but I'm allowed to
Did
have
you say sorry what?
I said sorry if you don't like it.
Oh, well, that's fine. I don't have to like your opinion. That's
Sure, I understand. Yep. But that vote was in total disrespect to the department and to the board from a standpoint of what was done at the meeting before when the interviewees all said they were available for the 3 o'clock meeting. It then came back to us to change. That vote changed. We went to an evening meeting, and we didn't have any residents showing up outside of the norm. 1 or 2 people we typically get. In fact, today we have more people than I'm used to seeing. And we went forward. From that point on, we've had 5 3-2 votes on this board. And the history of this board doesn't typically have those kinds of votes. And unfortunately, those votes have fallen not only in a 3-2 way, but one township against the other. And the concern I have is that they show a pattern of disrespect to this department. When you have a chief that wants to present something and you cut him off at the knees and don't allow him to present it, when you have a chief that wants to present something in regards to his employees and their their well-being. And again, he gets cut off at the knees and he's not allowed to present it. And then you have a vote against the board in regards to the time that's in total disrespect to the employees from a standpoint of they're no longer available to make the meeting because that meeting ends up being scheduled right during their training. And that was brought up at the time. My concern is where we're going with this board. We've got policies and procedures here. We think that there should be conflict resolution. We're told no on that. We think that there should be something in here regarding the former discharged employees. You bring up the fact that you want it sent to the attorney, so it was sent to the attorney came back. I don't have that decision in front of me. I guess I have to look to see if that word is or isn't in there. But it comes back that it's agreed it should be in there, then that gets voted down. I'm just trying to understand why we have such concern in one area and in not the area in the other areas as we move forward. My concern is for the board as a whole and the future of NOCFA going forward.
Did the three of you get together to have a meeting about this, to have a concerted effort to divide the board this one?
No, we're trying to pull it together.
Yeah, did the three of you get together and have a meeting?
Did the three of who?
You three.
Who three?
Ms. Winchester, Mr. Cullis, and Chief Lentz.
We had a meeting with Mr. Lentz to get some information. I wanted to.
So you have had a discussion about this outside of the board?
No, we just got minutes and some of the other issues. Yes.
Did you have a meeting here last week?
Yes, I just said that.
Oh,
I said it 3 times.
Yeah, then she said no. I got trying to get clarification.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you weren't just 10 minutes, you had a meeting to discuss
Okay, for the
fire department business.
No.
Went over
No.
the minutes that they were requesting.
Right.
I requested information on the minutes, and
Because I
requested information on who had served on the board and for what time periods.
Does that not strike you as odd that you would think that there's a divide on the board? You can have a mini board meeting. It's not against rules. Quorum requires
It's not a bidding. No.
awfully strange for you to have a meeting.
No, it's not very strange at all. We had, for the first time in 15 years, 5 to 2 votes, and they've all happened since 2019.
We also had a 40% increase in our budget and an additional 20% increase. There are real issues that have to be dealt with on a regular basis.
Then why can't you want the facts?
I do want the facts.
No, you didn't. You stopped them.
You
Just, I find you mischaracterize a lot of things about me. So, first of all, at the interview, you asked if I could come to 3 o'clock meetings, and I said I'd be happy to. Subsequent to that, there was a discussion about changing the times. I indicated it would be preferable if they were late. We didn't change the times for Pete Stauffer. That's ridiculous.
I didn't
And
say
you're right. Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No,
It's not
wait.
acceptable.
You get to talk, so do I. I did not say that. What I said was, there were 2 reasons. One was because she had a request from residents, and the second
and she didn't have time during the day.
the 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock didn't work for you. There were 2 reasons.
So that means I was one of the reasons.
No.
So,
Well, that's part of the conversation.
I wasn't one of the reasons. Guess what? We're meeting at 3 o'clock and I haven't missed a meeting.
I didn't say
I
that.
even had firefighters say to me they didn't like the 3 o'clock meeting. They wanted to be able to come in the evening.
Well, the most of the staff that we needed was during the day, and they're here already, so they didn't have to be. Well, that's neither here nor there. Peter, no, I think, well,
Because we find the attack from a
And I also had board members say, why are you having a meeting where people who work during the day can't come? And prior to this, we did have evening meetings. Prior to this we did have
a handful of both. Some people work, some people don't. But that's not.
Switched to 3 o'clock. This board switched to 3 o'clock. I had complaints. I addressed it to the board. That's what you do.
But I think that we're misinterpreting. Holly County.
I want to call the motion.
No, there's still discussion on the floor. No, I'm not calling the vote.
I have the right to do that.
So we're done with the conversation?
No, what you do now is you have a vote to see if we're going to vote on the motion. That's how it works.
Right. Call the vote.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so, all in favor say aye.
Clarify the motion.
Okay. Diane, restate your motion.
No, we're voting on whether we're gonna vote on the motion.
Your motion is to vote on a motion?
I don't understand.
Motion, which means that I want us to vote on the motion. I can't just cut you off. We have to agree that it's time to vote on the motion.
I don't agree with that.
So we vote.
Alright.
So so are you calling for Diane's motion?
No.
Now you finally know we're done discussing. We're gonna vote.
Are we going to vote on the motion or not? That's what we're voting on right now. Who wants to vote on the motions?
Aye.
Can we have a roll call?
On what are you?
Voting on the motion.
So that I have a motion, do I have a second?
No. We have a motion on the table that's been seconded. We're having a discussion. The discussion is superfluous. I'm calling to vote on the motion. You don't agree as a chairman. That's your prerogative. So therefore, we then have a vote to decide if we're going to vote on the motion.
I don't know Robert's Rules of Order enough in that kind of situation. I am totally, that's never happened. And this,
In essence, what that does is it stops the conversation, it stops the discussion, takes you back to the motion. He's saying, let's have a vote if we're going to vote on the motion. That, in essence, it would, if it passes, it ends discussion. Correct? Yeah.
so why do you not want to discuss any further? Why?
You have no right to ask that.
Okay.
I call for the motion.
He called for the motion.
All right, so tell me what I'm supposed to do because I have no idea.
Let her call, take the vote.
Stopper,
Yes.
Camper,
Yes.
Winchester,
No?
Hollis,
No.
President,
Yes.
Now you call for the vote on the motion.
Motion was to sign the articles of incorporation to the board, the township board for approval. It was supported by Canada.
And so, all in favor say aye.
And you're going to hit a roll call. This is going to be a 3-2.
Okay, roll call please.
Scheibenstater,
Yes.
Camper,
Yes.
Let's back up. Okay, so we have the motion. Now can't we have discussion before the motion is done?
The
No?
other vote ended that.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
This vote is to send this to the board.
Oh, that's a shame because,
Colister, Scheibenstater,
Yes.
Camper,
Yes.
Winchester,
no.
Stopper,
Yes.
Hollis,
Yes.
Next is report, chief's report.
We got 2 months worth of reports, meeting last month. For October, we had 91 incidents, and for November, 104. We are currently, as of today, at 1,050. We're still staying busy every month. And we got a whole lot of open calls here and there. Overall, like last April, we've seen since the incline COVID calls. Geographically speaking, have gone up. Our actual count for medicals has gone down. And I think nobody wants to go to the hospital.
Right up. But you've had more COVID calls here?
We have. I mean, we've run several.
And in the spring though, I mean, usually?
I would say, what do you think, Dan?
Far more now than it's.
Have we done far more? I didn't know whether to say far more or just a few more.
Okay.
So that was the reports. The Station 1 exhaust system that we just got a grant for a couple months ago started to get installed over the weekend. That was the department from Kentucky that was coming up actually the very next day to purchase that. They didn't come up, but they decided not to purchase it. They were looking for something that was, I guess, in their opinion, a whole lot better shape than they're not going to find it for 25 grand. So they drove all the way up here and looked at it and drove back. So it's still sitting out there. We do still have it on the market, but we still have got somebody that's somewhat interested that's supposed to be getting back with it. So I haven't heard anything from them lately. Yeah. So obviously we'll keep that on the market and hopeful that it's all before the end of the budget year.
When you say you have something on the market, is there a fire department website available?
Yeah, it's Matt, you wanna share me for this?
So there's a couple companies out there that run fire trucks that use apparatus, and you pay a percentage. They market it. They have their website. They do pretty much the legwork, track down contacts and people that may be interested, and then send them our way. And then if we sell the truck through them, we pay them on the
Sure.
So, but that fire, not the department, but it's one of the companies bringing out. That's who we use. We've sold a couple trucks through them and have been very successful with that. Quite frankly, these guys from Kentucky, they're not Rust Belt people. So when they look at a truck in Michigan and they see some rust on it or some corrosion, they're looking out because of the rust in Kentucky, I guess.
Then it was very rust.
Yeah, they took it out, we drove it, he pumps it, does everything it said it would. There's rust leaking on the frame. And I was like, brother, this is nothing. I said, take a look at my 2002 pickup. The rocker panels are gone. Right?
They don't use chloride.
Correct. They use sand. Of course, it doesn't really snow.
Right.
But
What year is this truck?
Interesting.
98. Yeah, I mean, it's, it is what it is.
We were surprised. It was the first time we ever sold something where we had somebody come up, especially out of state, and not take it with them. So
It is. I mean, we've got it. They took it back home. So,
That's nice.
more power to them. But there is,
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Not Rust Belt.
I told him, I said, you need to look like not in the Rust Belt. Go somewhere else, right? And you might find what you're after. But, I think we're at a point where you really can't lower the price of the truck much more without really giving it away. And, the sad thing is the return on that investment over the years is it's just horribly sad. You get a lot of money for that truck. We're asking $5,000 right now. We're having people kind of awesome. So the market isn't very good.
Is the market flooded with a lot of?
There's a fair amount of equipment out there. Grants hurt a little bit because departments get funding for new trucks and they dispose of their old trucks through these. So you can get a 5 or 6 year old truck versus a 20-some year old truck. So, we just have to find the right buyer and be patient with it. I will say the old ambulance that we sold, I think I had it on the market for about 15 minutes and I had somebody come up with cash shortly after. So,
The free money is always hard to compete with.
yes, sir.
Can you Photoshop it or something?
Oh, shit. Well, is it worth sending to the body
Make
shop?
it look a little more attractive?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a 1998 truck.
then the last thing, we had a structure fire this morning at 5:15, Holly Township on East Holly Road, just east of the road, farmhouse there. Chimney fire that got out into the attic. The gentleman that lived there was actually still sleeping, and he got woke up by a passerby. Saw the rope on fire and knocked on his door and got out. So he wasn't hurt or anything. But I would like to say that our guys did just an incredible job. There was the old farmhouse, which when those things get going, we usually can't save them. This fire was heavy. It was a big fire load. It was through the roof. say, going to the main house. It was in a breezeway that kind of went from the main two-story house to the garage where the fireplace was. I gotta tell you, the organization that we built over the years is I never put up against the top of the line full-time career departments any day. I mean, the skill level, the equipment, the processes and operations, it was a flawless attack. We were in and out of there in a couple hours.
That's great.
So it was chimney
Older chimney. They use it exclusively to heat the entire house. And this is the time of year we start getting that stuff. People don't clean them, they don't inspect them. They stuff them with wood, especially on the colder nights. And last night was the coldest night we've had this year. It was 13 or 14 degrees when we got out this morning. So
balloon construction.
yeah. Balloon construction, but like I said, they nailed it.
The good news is it was in the breezeway.
Yes. Well, I mean, it was extending into the house and the garage on each side when we got there. But like I said, they got in there, tore out the walls, we vented it with saws. Like I said, it just went flawless. It was very pleasing to watch from a commander's standpoint, watching everything go on. So
Great.
that's all I have. Doug, you
an update on the fire hydrant at Davisburg Dam. I talked to Mason, the Oakland County engineer, and they're going to have the contractor back out there tomorrow and hopefully have it installed by Friday. That's where they're putting the river raft down in the river, and it's sort of a superior replacement to what we had there prior to the culvert replacement. As far as the well goes on Belford Road, continuing to have trouble with Consumers Power. I talked to their liaison person yesterday. Still waiting for the underground run to the meter base that we've got installed out on the site. The well's been drilled. And then as far as the Nelson Flat well, it works. It pumps. We have a problem with prolonged pumping. They were supposed to replace the transformer out there. We believe that there's a transformer issue with us drawing the voltage on the 20-horse motor, and they've not replaced that yet. So probably tomorrow I'm going to do a phone follow-up with one of two field people to see if I can kind of circumvent their problems.
Okay.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Rose Township.
You have anything, Paul? No. I don't need it.
Okay. Holly Township.
One question. Have you had a chance to be out at Holly Hills and see the excavating that's going on out there?
I saw the excavation along Falk Road there. It seems to be incredibly deep. Is that bad soil, or are they putting in some kind of
They found sand and they've been mining it. And they have a permit. There's just some concern how far they're going. I know when I drove out there, you could see the excavator. Actually, you couldn't see the excavator until the shovel came up in the air. The entire excavator was down in.
You know, the issue from a public safety standpoint is it appears that all they have is one line of caution tape around there, and people in the neighborhood walking by, are they going to fall in it? I didn't get out of my vehicle to see how deep it was, but it was noticeable from the road. I did get a call from a concerned resident who, their big issue is they believe that the water draw from the average daily demand plus any fire department demand in a fire situation will move the cone of depression of the contamination from the old village landfill into the plume will move into the drinking water of the residents there. told them, I said, this is not a fire department issue. And what they want us to do is, during a fire, when we're drawing lots of water, can we take water samples and mail them off to somebody, you know? I said, you know, really, that is set up by the health department where the water is running through a set of filters that are sand filters that limit the flow, and they take out the contaminants you're worried about, including the arsenic. And we're just not the correct people to be dealing with.
Right.
I explained the issue of, you know, they're going to address the water issue with an above ground tank and not put another well, so they can take the fire flow that we need, the 60,000 gallons, giving us the 30,000 per hour that we need, according to the American Water Works Association. It will be sitting there. They have time. They can fill it at a slow rate. It's not going to be 1,000 gallons a minute for the residents and 1,000 gallons for us at any single point in time. So that's kind of the story I've been giving out. I gave the same story to the Sierra Club who called, and somehow they're getting them involved. So all of the engineering people that have called me find it a totally good approach to the problem out there.
Right. Well, we're waiting for them to. Have they pulled the permits for the bladder?
No, but I'm not releasing any permits till they do the fire improvements. No permits at all, except for the one for they need for the fire.
Yeah, and that's kind of what, you know, from our standpoint, just like a residential subdivision, the hydrants go in at the same time as the roads. There's never any building until you have your water system.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
I just want to touch it.
Okay. Citizen at large.
Nordberg.
Okay. Public comment. Don.
Just a couple questions, Chief. Are we getting pipeline there? Yeah, great, pipeline. We're getting what? Grants for the pipeline? No, in the pipeline.
Do you have any grants pending?
Oh, no. No, we got the smaller ones from, they only will go up $1,000. We got some, what was the last one we got? The trench collapse stuff?
Yeah, that was from
Trench collapse equipment, 7 months ago.
You do know, where's that?
What, are you specific on pipeline grants?
No, he's using the term, any grants for the pipeline.
Grant in the pipeline, sorry. I know what I'm saying, because we do get pipeline grants from,
Right.
on the pipeline, no,
That's why I said you have to carry.
oh, yes. Well, it's not called the CARES Act for us, you know, it's called the Public Assistance Grant. And yes, I have, almost $35,000 requested that we're waiting on approval. Federal grants? Those are federal grants, yes. And they always take a long time. So, yes.
The one that I know you knew about was the replacement brush truck, and we did not get that one. That was 3-4 weeks ago, we were notified.
Okay. Any other public comment? Well, I'd like to take the time to make my public comment as a Holly Township resident, since I wasn't allowed to have one. The main purpose for bringing some of this stuff up was because I am deeply concerned about how we're moving forward together as a board and an authority. And today was a perfect example of how these kind of votes have been going. And I don't think it's good, and I'm very concerned, and I think we really need to discuss conflict resolution and get all the cards out on the table, have a decent conversation, a respectful conversation about it for the good of the department and the authority. Because as it's going, George and I might as well not even show up because you guys are, you're bulldogging. So, and I don't think it's good for the department or the board, and make me very, very concerned about where we're going from here. And that's the end of my comment.
I have a public comment as well. Just because I don't agree with what you and George want doesn't mean that I'm not being respectful, that I don't care about the department, I don't care where it's going, because it is absolutely incorrect.
Okay, any other public comment?
I haven't been to a meeting since last year. I come every year when you have your audit. But there's a lot of friction here. I thought our meetings were bad. You can't get any work done. You're constantly at each other's throats. And if it's a 3-2 all the time, you're never going to get what you want. Diane, if you were released from the fire department, you shouldn't be serving on this board. You should be somebody else. You should be only here for 2 years. You're causing a lot of problems. Chief Lentz is trying to do, he does a fantastic job. I'm so proud of you guys. I can't even say enough for this about you. But you cannot get any further. You're constantly going to be banging each other's heads. We do this at Rose Township, and it's disgusting. And people think we're so stupid. We look bad. We're not going to do the thing. We're not moving forward. We're fighting with each other. It's bullshit. Excuse my French. So that's my public comment. I'm sorry if you're mad, Mr. Stokes. Wait a minute, he yelled at me last night because I called him Stover, because that's Stover. Stover's a plan. Yes. Stopper, is that how you pronounce it? He screamed at me last time during the election. I don't need to be screamed at. I don't need to be disrespected like that. But you are not helping this group. And Diane, if they want you to go on, go. I'll take over for you. But somebody else maybe should be in here. If it's an issue, you're an attorney, you're paying an attorney, follow the attorney's decision, for God's sakes. Not a Rose Township attorney,
Wait, I thought this one actually about me. I know it's
obviously it's about you.
About me.
Obviously
That's what I'm saying. Obviously it's about me. Thank you.
I'm just telling you the truth after reading through all this.
Okay.
I'm for the fire board. I appreciate everything they do.
The only things that I've come forward for to and voted for were actually things that our board agreed upon. So
it's 3-2, 3-2, 3. You can never move forward, you guys.
we've done a lot of good here.
Whatever. I'm just trying to tell you what I.
He didn't get
I'm part of the board.
we didn't get his taxing authority.
We didn't even have a chance to discuss the rest of the taxing authority. You took it to your board and undermined it before the whole board ever even was able to get any other information and look further into it. And that would have been brought up as well today. I mean, in the conflict, we really need it. We have problems because you're cutting us off at the knees when you don't like something, and then we get treated with disrespect, and we're not allowed to discuss it. That's very disrespectful. We need to discuss it as a board. You just don't cut a board off.
Just if I could make an example, we went through a whole process on the policies and procedures, and we've now voted to send them back to the townships. We were never allowed to even hear the presentation on the MERS that the employees wanted us to look at. We were never allowed to hear the complete presentation on the taxing authority. You took it to your board before this board voted to go back to the boards. It never went to Holland Township board. It went to your board. I've watched your meeting at that board. I am concerned with some of the misinformation that's put out there, or some of the information that's put out there without clarifying what it is when that information comes out in the meeting. So I do have a concern over that for this board. That's my comment.
Well, I'm going to stay on this board. My board appointed me to this board.
Nobody,
And
I've never asked you.
I'm glad that you would consider grandfathering me in. I appreciate that, but I vote for the residents who elected me. And like I said, I am in total support of this authority. So if that's how you see it, I don't know what to say.
Okay, any other public comment? Hearing none, we're adjourned at 4:29.